All right, so this video is designed to explain the concept of a roof, how you do roof over your building. So as you know, a roof is a protective covering over the building. Therefore, the emphasis of a roof should be on the roof and not on all of the other fixtures and features in the drawing. With that being said, you're going to go into layer property, and you're going to take out all of the things that you don't want. So for example, the only thing that should remain is walls, windows, doors. So after you do that, you are going to copy. So I'm not doing it here now, but I already showed you how to take out those that you don't need. So once you do that, what will remain is walls, windows, and doors. So these are what you keep. All right. Then you copy your drawing. Let me bring this a little closer. Let me just move this a little bit. Right. So once you copy your drawing, it would look like this. Good. Then we are going to make that drawing, the building will be blue. So we're going to go into new layer, building outline. So you do a new layer called building outline. The color here will be blue, dashed. You want it to be dashed, and 0.25. So once you finish doing that, you're going to double click on it, X off, and then you are going to make the entire drawing here blue. So I did this already. So that is how your drawing here would look. All right. So whatever your design is, whether it's rectangular, or whether it's this effect that you're seeing here, you are going to copy, and then you're going to make all of your walls and so on blue. All right. So let me start by using this rectangular shaped building, and I want to explain the concept of a gable roof. All right. So what I will do, I'm going to start with a polyline. So I'm taking polyline from endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint back to endpoint. So that is if your building is rectangular. Good. I'm going to offset now. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to get my eave. Now the eave is a part of the roof that extends beyond the walls of the building, right? So you have that little part that you can kind of shelter. That distance there, the part that extends beyond the walls of the building, that distance is the eave, which is 300. So we are using 300. So because my line is polyline, I could simply offset my distance of 300, which will go right around the drawing. Once I'm finished doing that, I'm going to erase the first polyline that I created. So I erase the first poly, undo, right. So I'm going to erase the first polyline that I created, right. Good. So this here is my line that represents my eave. Next, I want to explain the concept of a fascia board. Now, when you look at the roof, you tend to see a design, board design. Sometimes it's designed, sometimes it's not. But that board that runs right around the edge of the roof that is called the fascia board. So I'm offsetting my fascia board as 25, enter. 25, and that 25 will be on the inside. So notice here it is very thin, very, very thin, 25 millimeters. I'm going to do a new layer, and I'm going to make that layer fascia board. Double click there. I double click and I make that red, continuous 0.30. So fascia board, red, continuous 0.30. So you double click on that, and then you're going to X off that. So I'm going to draw a line, make that line red, take my match property, and I select both of them. So it will be red, right? So that is my building. The building outline is blue, and the red line here represents my fascia board, which is 25 millimeters. Now, once it's a gable roof, I'm going to find my center. I have now my ridge board. So my center, that line will go right across to the other end, right? So other end, I extend. Sorry, this line is supposed to stop on the fascia board, not inside the fascia board. All right. Now that line at the center here is called a ridge. That line there represents a ridge. Sorry, should have been continuous. Where I have it on that. Right. So that line here in the middle here is a ridge board. All right. The thickness of that ridge board is 50 millimeters. Therefore, I'm going to offset 25. 25, enter. 25 up, 25 down, and then I'm going to erase my middle line. Since the thickness is 50, all right, I offset 25 up, 25 down. And so I think I was using the wrong line. When I said that, I had it on center. So let me just match properties so that all of them will be continuous. You wouldn't have to do that. So just because I set mine before, that's why. All right. Next. So this here is my fascia board that goes right around. This board here is called my ridge board. Next, I want to do my rafters. Now, in a roof, you see boards that is spaced evenly. So the boards are spaced evenly. And I'm going to do a new layer. So I'll call that layer rafters. I have mine already. So rafters, yellow, continuous, 0.25. Rafters, yellow, continuous, 0.25. And I double click there. Double click on there. I X that off. And then I come here now. Now I want my rafters here to be spaced at 600, on centers. But if I look to offset 600, because mine was a polyline, if you offset 600, you're going to get a line inside here. So you tend to have this. That's not what we want. All right. So I am going to draw a line now. Go on line. I'm going to draw a line from where the ridge to fascia board. Ridge. Let me just move this. So you'll be able to see. Right. So ridge to fascia board. All right. So notice you see my line yellow. I'll erase it eventually, but right. So that's my yellow line. So because my rafters are spaced 600 on centers, I'm going to go on offset 600, enter. And it is not always 600. So please note, you have to look to see what is your center to center distance. All of these here are my center to center distance, right? Now I cannot erase this line here. So I'm going to offset now. All of these represent centers, but I now need to put in my thicknesses of the rafters. So I'm going to offset 25. Why 25? Because the boards are 50. So from that line, 25 to the right, 25 to the left. 25, 25, 25, 25, and I'll just do a few and then copy. So this, so 25. I erase the middle. Erase the middle. So I erase the middle line. I have a few rafters here. Now what I will do, I'm going to copy instead of having to do the same middle and then 25, 25. So I'm going to copy this now. Now in copying, I'm going to take all of these lines here. All these lines, pick them, enter, enter. And I'm going to take it from my base points. I'm going to take it from this corner, which is my base point. And since I'm taking it from that corner, I need to take it to this corner. And then I continue again with the last line start, end. I'm going to continue from there. And then I go again. I go with the last one end. I go again. With the last one end. I go again. And with the last one end, I am going to go there again. All right, so I'm going there, right? And I escape this. So I have one, because I copy multiple, I have one that I can erase here. And because these two lines are close, now you can leave it because that is what actually happens in a roof. So you can leave it or you can remove these here if it is, the span is not as long as the space that we, so if it's, space is too long, then you put another one. But in this case, it's not, so we can leave it like that. Now, what I will do now, the same thing will happen on the opposite side. I can just copy here. So I'm going on copy, copy, and I'm taking all of them again. But remember, take very good care when you're taking them, when you're taking all of these. So notice I'm taking these here. If you cannot take, you can't cover a long area, you may have to pick them individually, which I hope you don't have to. All right, so I pick these. I have another set here I want to take, so I take it from here, and then I take it from here. So I need to take these here, and then my last two here. So once I pick all of those, I say enter, enter, and then because I'm mirroring, I'm going to take my midpoint. So I'm going to find my midpoint. What did I do? I used the wrong way. All right. So I didn't go, I went on probably, I didn't go on mirror. Mirror I was supposed to go on, maybe copy. So I go on mirror. Mirror is supposed to do mirror, and I'm taking these here and these here. So you have to be careful that you don't take walls, you don't end up taking a wall. All right, so making sure. All right, so I take all of this in, and I'm finding my midpoint now on this side. So I'm going until I get my midpoint, right? So midpoint, I do it horizontally, enter, 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 and there I have my rafters completed. Now, of course, there are other things that we have to put, like the material that you're going to use for the roof and so on. So that has to be done. Now, this one here, your rafters should be touching or bouncing against your ridge board, right? If you obviously do the entire line, then it means that you have to go and trim off all the little space here. So that's why I took it from, I offset it the 600 from there, and then I offset on both sides and so. So you don't draw it, take it all the way through. You must see that it is bouncing back against another. All right? All right, so that's how you do the gable roof. So the hip roof now. I think I copied this from another. All right, so let's do the hip roof. So let me take out, all of these was from another drawing. That's fine. Just explaining the concept of this one. Oopsie. So I want to explain the concept of a hip roof now. So we just looked at the gable roof. Now we want to do a hip roof. With a hip roof, we're doing the same concept. Whether it's a hip roof, a gable roof, a hip and valley, is the same concept that you're using. The concept meaning that you're doing a polyline. So you're doing the polyline, and we just take out these, and then, so we're doing the polyline first. All right, so I'm using the same design for a hip roof. So I'm doing the polyline. So I'm going on polyline, and the purpose of the polyline, I want to be able to do my eave. So I go from endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint. Escape. I'm going to offset now. My eave is 300. enter, select the polyline, and I offset on the outside. Now I'm going to take out now that polyline line that I had before, so I take that off, and I'm going to put in the thickness. The thickness of my board is 25, so 25, and pick that line, and it will go right around because we use a polyline. If you do single line, then you have to do that multiple times. All right, so I'm finished doing that. Now the concept of a hip roof, your water flows in 4 directions. So the wall has 4. You have 4 walls. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You will have 4 directions, right? So with a hip roof, your angles are placed at 45 degrees. Once it is a hip roof, your angles are placed at 45 degrees. Once it's a hip roof, your angles, they are placed at 45 degrees. So I'm going to go, once it's a hip roof, lines at 45 degrees. So instead of my line being perpendicular, I'm going to go on the one that says restrict cursor to specific angles. So I'm going to pick there, down. I want 45 degrees, 90, 135, 180. So that's the one you want, and you tick there. So once you pick there, you come off, and then we're going to come here now. So line from the corner here. My angle here should be at 45 degrees. Now, because mine is still on perpendicular, I'm going to bring it down on the angular one. And now you're able to see what your angle is. So I'm seeing that mine is 45 degrees. If I bring this down, I get the angle in which I want, so 29 and so on and so forth, but I need 45, so I draw my line at 45 degrees. Now, sometimes with that, you're not too sure how long the line would be. You're not sure, but so you just draw it at any length, and then we do the other side. So the other side, you need 45 there as well. So I go line again, corner, and you want that 45 degrees, again, you will be able to see what your angle is if it is at 45 degrees. If it's at 45 degrees, then you will see the 2 lines. You see like a green line on top of a yellow line. So I pick there, right? Now with a hip roof, you want your 2 hip to meet. So these 2 are called hip. I'm going to fillet it, fillet 1 and 2, right? So they will meet. Same thing I will have on the opposite side. So I have these at 45 degrees. They must be at 45 degrees in order for them to meet. And then I am going to mirror it. So I can mirror it because I'll have the opposite happening. So I pick this, enter, and then I find my midpoint. So you see the triangle there, which is and then because so you notice what is happening here. My line is not straight. I'm not too sure if it will meet in place. So what I do, I go back on perpendicular. I make sure that I put on perpendicular, right? So that I'll get it in place there. So I pick, enter, enter, right? So pick, enter, enter. Then I draw my line from from planted lines to slanted lines. So these here are called hip. So that's a hip rafter, hip rafter, hip, a hip. That is why they call it a hip roof, because you have these angles here. So once there are angles, it is no longer gable. As we looked here, it becomes a hip. Right, so all of these now, I'm going to put my proper colors now. All of these here will be red. So I'm going to simply just paint it, or you go back on board red, and we're going to leave, we want these lines here, the skeleton of the roof. We want those, what the skeleton of the roof is the main part of the roof members, which all of the others are connected. All right, for example, this is a skeleton because it is from all of the other rafters here that they are connected to this ridge. From this one here, the skeleton of this will be the angles and that straight line here, angle here, straight line. So this again is a skeleton of the roof. It is from those, these that the others will be attached. All right, so let me just make my colors. Right, so use the same colors that I gave you here for the fascia board and so on. So I just match property, and I'm going to make all of these here red. Right, so I'm making these red. Now, although I did not have a new layer for hip and so on. If you like, you can do your hip and make them, you can call it hip and ridge. You can make that red. All right. So hip red, hip ridge, you can make that red. All right. So I want to paint that there. Now each member of the roof must have a thickness. So this will become a board, a board, a board. And the thickness of those board are 50. So I'm going to offset 25, enter, 25 to the right, 25 to the left, or 25 up, 25 down, 25, 25. Do the same thing on the opposite side. 25, 25, 25, 25. Once you finish doing that, erase the middle. Right? Erase the middle. Remember this, the middle, they were placed there to be able to, for you to be able to ensure that the members are meeting properly in place. So I'm taking the middle off, enter. Right, once you do that, there are some connections that you have to pay particular attention to. Right, so in your exams and for your SBA, these are the things that your examiners will be looking for. So I'm going to extend 1 and 2. So I'm extending those two. Then I'm going to draw a line from endpoint here to endpoint. I'm going to trim off 1, 2, 3, here and here. So that is how your board, your member should look. So the ridge is up above, and then you have now these ridge, not the ridge, the hip that are meeting back on the ridge. So that is how that connection should look. And pay close attention to that, because sometimes in the sketch and design section of the paper, they will ask you to do the connection of a ridge with the hip. All right, so that's what we do on this side. It's the same thing on the opposite side. So let me extend here now. So I'm going back again, extend 1, 2, line from one line from endpoint to endpoint. Then I'm going to trim. Trim, and I take out 1, 2, take out those, take out those, take out this, missed it. Take out this. Right, and then I'm going to match property. Say match property. All right, and that's how we deal with ridge and hip. Next, rafters now. So we had the rafters, and so actually I'm drawing with yellow. So, right, so in your case, if you have to you'll have to put in your rafters at yellow. So again, excuse me, I'm going to do find your center, and I'm going to draw my line. What I'm trying to do now is to put on the boards that will be placed within that section of the roof. And these boards here are rafters. So that that line here represents the center. My rafters are 600 on center, so 600, enter. From here, 6, 6. So I'll do just maybe about 3. So I'll do 3. And I'm going to do now, so I'm going to trim first. But anyhow you take it with that kind of roof, we have more trimming to do. So I could offset first. I'm going to offset 25. So 25, enter, 25 up from that line down, 25 up, 25 down, 25 up, down, 25 up, 25 down, down. So I'm going to erase the middle. Erase the middle. Erase my middle. Erase my middle. So when I finish erasing the middle, I'm going to trim. Oh, I missed one. Erase the middle. Right, so I'm going to trim. So I'm going to trim now within the space here. So 1, 2, I'm trimming within the space. And then I'm going to erase. So I could trim 1 and 2. And once I do that, I can now erase here. All right. So I have there should be some more rafters here. So I can copy now again, as I told you, this type of roof means that you have to do more trimming and so on. So you'll have more trimming to do, but it's not as difficult as it seems, because once you do one side, you can copy on mirror on the other side. So I'm going to here now, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to take all of these except for the middle. So I pick here, enter, and I'm going to use this as my base. So I'm taking this corner. So notice where I'm taking it from. So I have the thickness of that rafter, and I'm taking it from there. So that end point, if I'm taking it from there, it means that I must take it from this point here. And then I escape it. Escape. I'll do the same thing. So I'm going to trim off between the spaces. Be very careful which one that you're trimming off. The blue line can stay because it's the building outline. And remember, the building outline is dashed. So it shows that the object exists, but it's hidden from view. So we can leave that one. All right. So I erase. All right. So I have this quarter of it done already. So all I will do now, oops, I left a misaligned. So I will take out, and not to show you which one I missed. So I'm going to copy this one. So I copy here, enter. Then I'm going to take it from this base point here. If I take it from that point, I must take it from this point. And then I'm going to trim. Right. And then erase and erase. Okay. So I have this part done already. So I'm going to copy again now. Now I'm copying, but I'm taking these rafters here. All these except the middle. So I'm taking all of these. What did I say? Copy? Sorry, I'm going to mirror it. Mirror. So I'm taking all of these. Enter. And I'm going to find my my midpoint. So midpoint, like this. Pick, enter, enter. So I have the entire side here covered, right? And then I can do the same on the opposite side. So I can mirror again. If I mirror, will allow me to. So I pick these, pick these, pick this too. And I missed two. So I take these two, enter. Then I need it for this side. So if I want it to be mirrored here, I have to find my middle on this side here. Why? What I did not do? Center. Right, so center, and then pick enter. So center, down, enter, enter. Right, so I have the other side done. So remember, you're doing mirror, select the object, enter. If you want it on this side, you have to go on the opposite side. So if you want it here to be mirrored here, your mirror has to be here. If you want it on this side here, your mirror has to be here. So it can come on the other side. So let me show you how we do this here now, this side. Now I'm going to start with this corner where the slanted line meets the vertical line. So I'm going to put that line down, and it stops on the fascia board, not inside the fascia board, because you cannot have a board going inside. Now from that line, I'm going to offset 600. So 600 on centers, pick my line, 1, 2, 3. So I can do 3, maybe 4, and then I do 25. So 25, enter. 25 to the right, 25 to the left. 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25. So that's the only tedious part of this, doing the 25, 25. Erase the middle. So erase your middle, erase your middle, enter. And then I'm going to trim. Remember again, when you're trimming, you must trim within here. So it should not, your rafter should not go inside of the hip. So it is butting against it. It is not going through it. Right? So it's not going through it. Come on, team. Right. So it bounces against a board. It's not going in. So after I finish do that, I'm going to erase now these. These have no place here. Right? So you should not see anything crisscrossing. Oh, I missed out one. So I erase this. All right. Last thing here now, so I can copy a few. Copy. So this I might need probably 1, 2, I may need 3. So I just copy these 3 here. Copy. I take these 3, enter. I'm taking it from a base point, which is here, to that base point. Yeah, actually, I don't need the third one, so I could just erase it. This one here can't fit, so erase it. Again, I'm going to trim and erase. So I'm trimming. Remember, you trim, take out between here and between there. Take out between here and between. You must bounce against it, and then we erase. So I take this off, take this off, take this off. Right. Good. So I have this section here done. I can mirror the same thing on the other side. And some I may have to extend, but so I can mirror. So I could go on here and I can mirror these. So I can pick all of this here. Right, so I pick all of this. Be very careful when you mirror in. Right, so remember I want it on this side here. So enter, I find my center. In my center, I go upwards, enter, enter. Right, so I have it done on this side, so I don't have to do the same thing here. And then I can mirror these here and then put it on the other side. So it's not difficult. And so let me show you here. We could copy here now. So I can copy this, copy here, enter, and then I come from this end point. So notice where I take it from here to here, and then here, and here. So instead of doing it as single lines, single rafters, you can do multiple. So you can copy multiple. All right, so that's up to you if you want to do it that way. Copy multiple. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, come on. All right, so I come here and here. If you take a few at the same at once, it makes it even easier. All right, if you take one and so on. No, not all the time your rafters are going to align, So not all the time it's going to align. No, you see like this. You see what's happening here? Now, if I take the same distance here, you notice I have one that is shorter. This one is shorter. Sometimes you don't see it much because if you don't pay close attention, you don't see it. But in a case like that, what you can do is to find the center and then you can offset 25, 25, right? So you can do that now. All of these now I can take and I can mirror it. So I can go and mirror and I'm taking all of these. All. I'm taking all of these here. And take your time, however you could do it. I can copy, I think maybe over process of time, it's easier for me, but you take your time, you find your center. So I find in my center. All right, center. I draw my line straight across, pick, enter, enter. All right, so there, that roof is done. That's a hip roof, and that is done. So let's go now to the hip and valley roof. Now, this one, I think, more applies to most of your drawings. Right, so I think it applies to most of your drawings. All right, so I'm going to do a polyline again. So polyline as roof number 3. So I go from endpoint. Let me make sure it's polyline I use and not line. Polyline. So endpoint to endpoint to this endpoint here to this endpoint to this endpoint to cross my fingers. This point here, this point here, and then back to here. All right. All right. Once you do that, there I'm going to offset my fascia board. Fascia board 300, enter. 300. I erase my polyline, and then I'm going to put in the thickness now, which is 25. That 25 is for my fascia board, and it's inside, right? Again, hip and valley roof, as the name implies, it is 45 degrees for your hip, so it is always 45 degrees. So since I already explained the concept of the 45 degrees, I can just go and copy a 45 degrees, all right, to make it easier for me. Come on, thing. All right, so I just go copy, pick, enter. Oh, something I was supposed to show you all on and I missed, as I saw it there now. Right, so I'm going to go here. So in the corner here, that's my 45 degrees. Let me just take you back to the roof thing as I'm seeing that there now. Now that point here, remember we had to offset the 25, 25. So this is going to fall within your fascia board. So you just trim it off. So trim this off, because what they do, they will cut the board to fit within that space there. So in all the corners you have to trim. So you trim off this and this. And the next 2 corners, trim and trim. All right, so you trim. And do the same thing for the next corner. So let me come back to here now. So hip and valley, all where your corners are, then you will create a 45 degrees. So this is my 45 degrees here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mirror it. If I mirror it, then I can simply find my center and I get my 45 degrees on the opposite side and corner. So I'm going to fillet this, fillet it. Where they meet, that will be followed by a ridge. So a ridge board, here as I just explained, where you have 2 hip meeting, then that will be followed by a ridge. Now there's a corner here. So this corner here, again, 45 degrees. So I'm going to copy, enter. I'm going to take it from endpoint to endpoint. All right. So again, where they meet, once you have their meeting, you're going to either trim off or, sorry, I do the wrong thing. You fillet. So I fillet. All these lines will be read eventually, so we could do that after. Okay, so I'm moving again. I'm going to do this corner here now. This corner, 45 degrees. So I'm going to copy, and I'm taking this one. Why? Because I want my 45 degrees in this corner, and it is in the same direction as this one. So I can take it from here, and then in the corner here, I place that. All right, so 45 degrees there. Good. So I'm not finished yet. Once you have 2, this here is called ridge here. So this is this part is called the hip. This is a hip. So hip rafter, ridge. Hip rafter, ridge. This part here is called a valley, but you will only see that as we continue. So once you have the valley and the hip meeting, I am going to, that will be followed by a ridge. Not a ridge, sorry, a hip, sorry. So I'm going to copy this now, copy, enter. I'm going to take it from corner here, corner, and I go here. So once you have the two slanted lines meeting, I am going to fillet it. So 1 and 2. So I have it filleted. Once you have two hip meeting, then I'm going to do a ridge. So this here will be my ridge. So I'm going to do a ridge here. Now I'm not too sure exactly where it's going to meet. So I'm just going to stop it at a certain point, right? Next corner. Remember I just said it. I said, explain that your corners will be at 45 degrees. So the corner here will be at 45 degrees. So I'm going to go and copy. And I'm going to take this one. Why? Because it is in the direction in which I want the other one to be. So pick. I go from the end point. So I make sure I have it end point. And I come here and I get my here, 45 there. 45. All right. So I am moving on. So this corner is 45 degrees. Now I'm not too sure what here is going to look as yet, but all I'm doing, I know that I'm doing my 45 degrees. Yes, I'm going to do the same thing on this side here, but this time I could mirror it. So I could go and mirror, and mirror, enter. Go to here, enter. So I have it here, and then I go to mirror again. So I mirror, enter. I take it from the center here, this way, enter, and I fillet it. So I fillet, and these two now will form a triangle. So it's a triangle here. Once they meet with a triangle, then that is followed by a ridge. So I put a ridge here, but I'm not too sure exactly what is happening at that corner here yet. So I'm going to copy here now. Copy, pick, enter, end point. Why am I taking it there again? That's the direction in which I want the other one. So that's why I took it from that one, right? So I have here. Now, once these two lines meet, a ridge and the valley, once these two meet, I am going to fillet it. So I'm going to fillet this and this. So I fillet it, and I am going to do here as well. So once these two meet, then that is followed by a 45 degrees. So I'm going to copy. So don't make your own angles. Don't make your own angles. Follow your 45 degrees. So I take it from there, and then I come here now. So I go in this corner here, right? And I trim off. So I can trim this off. I can trim this off. I'm going to erase this here now. And last one also, let me see if this is going to end back on top there. So I'm going to extend, and I extend it here. And notice, right, so notice it's falling right back in place. Yeah? So that is how you do a hip and valley. Now, let me make all of the lines here the same red, 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 and red. Right, so once you do that, your roof is good to go. So you offset now your thicknesses of your roof members. So offset 25, 25, enter. So 25, 25, same 25, 25. So the only one I'm going to show you is when there's because the same principle will apply for when you're doing the other roof. Hip and one is hip and valley. So this one is where there's a valley. That's a valley here. So let me show you how that one is done. That's the only one that is different to the one that we looked at previously. So I erase in the middle. right? I'm going to fillet this line and this line. I'm going to trim. So I'm going to trim off 1, 2, 3. Pick out these two. This line, sorry, the middle line. Remember, the middle line had to go. So we're taking out the middle line, right? And this is how the connection would look now. We're going to draw a line from corner to corner. What they basically do is that they cut the board to be able to fit in those spaces. So they cut the board, right? So the board, there they cut it because you may wonder, but that line are straight. It's not, it wouldn't be straight because depending on how they're placing it on the roof. So you might have some part that looks like here is bigger, here is smaller. Another concept I want to explain to you, because your roof may not look like this at all, but when your span is shorter, that part of the roof is lower. When your span is broader, bigger, then this part of the roof will be higher. So let me repeat that. When your span here is shorter, that part of the roof is lower, but that's why it's dipping down. When this span is broader, then this part will be higher on the roof. If you paid attention to the model that I did, and so you will notice that you've seen a part that is higher. That's hence the reason why we had that the valley, right? So whenever the span is shorter, it is lower. Where the span is bigger, this part of the roof will be higher. So I trust that you understood that the two concepts here. When we have to do the rafters, it's the same thing. Same principle applies. So you do the thickness of your boards, find the center, 600 on centers, and 25, 25, and so on. You copy and so on, you paste. So let me just explain. Now you will have rafters. There's a pattern. So if you start here, these are vertical, then these will be horizontal. These will be vertical, while these here will be horizontal. These vertical here, the whole thing vertical, this part here will be horizontal. Vertical, horizontal. So you should not have, whether you go clockwise or anti-clockwise. So if I'm going clockwise, if these are horizontal, these here will be vertical. While these are horizontal, these will be vertical. While these are horizontal, these will be vertical. These will be horizontal. These will be vertical. So you have a pattern of in and out, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. So I trust that you understood this. I'm going to, in another video, I'm going to show you how to do how we dimension and then how we put on the notes. So you in the interview, you could work on your drawing, whether you want to do the hip and valley, a combination. Or let me also explain. If you want to do a combination of hip and valley, you may want a gable end and then a hip end and so on. So if you want to do a hip, let's say, for example, you want to do, instead of doing a hip here, you want to do a gable end, you can simply take this off, erase this here, and you can stretch this here. So this part here will be gable, while the other part is hip, right? So you could have gable here, hip here, right? So that's up to you if you want to do that. If your roof is not working out, then maybe you can do a drop. You can have part of the roof lower. You can do your porch as a separate roof. So for example, let's say your thing was not working out, right? So let's say I had something like this. What I can do, I can create, so I could take out this. I can explore my polyline. So I've taken this off so that it's done individually, right? So you know, as I pick it now, I'm only seeing part of it here as an individual line. So I can now stretch this here and make this so the ridge, not the ridge, sorry, the fascia board, sorry. Fascia board could reach here, right? So you can have within here. Now you can put your, this part could be lower. You can have a lean-to roof. If you remember, again, the model I did in the TD lab, the one that is, the roof that is over the veranda is called a lean-to. So it's just slanted there. So this one can be a lean-to roof. And then you can continue by doing your 45 degrees. So I could just copy here, copy, Copy, angle, enter, endpoint, and I take it from here. Oh, what's the matter with you? All right, so I go move. Yeah. Pick, enter. So I take it from here and I take it here, right? So I can do my roof from there and ignore this piece here. You may find this a little bit challenging. So work on it and then let me know if there's anything that you're having difficulties with. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'm going to end